What is going on, you guys? Back today with a quick update in regards to the improvements for Incursion rate. So this was just actually posted on the Marvel Strike Force website, guys. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you go through it. It's just giving us a heads up in regards to what's coming up for details in terms of changes. So I mean, first and foremost, it sounds like this is happening right after the patch that goes out live this week. It's gonna be shortly on August 2nd, 12 p.m. Pacific time. So the skill nodes specifically are going to get rebalanced, it sounds like. So players will find that the raid sim rate will improve. That's automatically, attempting the raids while manually playing it through it. More specifically though, the skill node 3, which is the boss node, it's going to see a reduction in the boss HP, and then it's going to allow us to have some timeout issues. So I mean, that's really big, because I feel like that one was the one when I was doing the auto sim with raids. Specifically, I was getting it. It was a hit or miss. Sometimes I could raid sim it. Other times I would time out, or in playing it, you definitely 100% time out, just given the multitude of enemies that you're up against. So your best chance was simming it, but then simming it was like a gamble in terms of whether or not that would be successful. So great that they actually addressed it. I think that was pretty much the only problem area where there seemed to be a disconnect between the number of enemies and the time, and it basically needed multiple attempts, right? And you would have to plan strategically in terms of those attempts. A couple other things too. The team also wanted to clarify a few details about the raid sim. So it's fine. It's good that we finally got this clarity. Is that essentially the raid sim feature isn't an automatic win. It's essentially them going into battle and then hitting the auto button immediately without the opportunity to actually target. So it's advantageous in the sense that if you do have a raid node where specifically it seems like you need more time, then raid simming at least would buy you more time, because it bypasses that 5-minute mark, right? Whereas when you manually play it, perhaps you can only get so many attacks in, and that essentially results in a failed attempt, but you still get some meaningful progress made. It's just you're going to lose efficiency. So great to get that confirmation finally. That's why we see, I guess, different success rates, because essentially it's their version of just going in and hitting auto, and then it's going to be pretty much a coin toss whether or not you're able to succeed or not. But the other thing too is it has notes here that the highest difficulties of the newest raids are not intended to be sim. So I mean, I guess over time, as we get higher and higher on those difficulties, as we push further and further, their intention is not to make that easier for us. So that's a bigger question altogether, because that would mean that then you would need some pretty significant increases to the investment of gear and levels to ensure that therefore there's a huge disproportionate advantage of your characters and teams over the intended planned enemies, and that would give you that advantage here, right? So new gear tier levels, other features introduced, success rates will increase over time. So it makes sense. Like for example, we could sim maybe the first part of the 1.1 or 1.2, and then as you get to 1.3 and 1.4 incursions, obviously that success rate's gonna go down, or maybe it's not even intended, right? However, it was nice in the sense that they did actually finally give us some confirmations here of guidelines that they've utilized and tested internally. So level 90, 7 yellow, 5 red stars, ISO 82 level 3, gear tier 15. This is interesting because from my guides and videos too, these are some pretty sizable jumps. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like 1.3 right now, this one right here, this one specifically is a lot higher actually than what I've been doing. I've been actually able to do the majority of the nodes in gear tier 15. So I mean, just for them to add on like an extra 2 gear tier levels, and then as well as ensuring all characters have 5 reds. I know I don't have that for my invaders team. I think my rebirth just got that, but I mean, I know all of them are level 85. So I mean, it's a pretty big reality difference. So just for context, right? My characters were around level 85, 6 yellow, maybe with a 4 red average. ISO 8, ISO 82 level 3, that sounds about right. And then typically they're gear tier 15 or gear tier 16 at the most. The only exception would be my Mystic area, where I do have a lot of powerful characters like the Horseman, Morgan Le Fay. She's gear tier 17. But I mean, that's a pretty notable difference in terms of what you need to actually sim. So I don't like that. I don't like that variance there, just because this is giving us a pretty steep guideline. And we were able to get into the 1.4 now, and I have, like I said, the majority of my characters are still around that level 85 mark. 6 yellow, 4 red. and then gear tier 17 and 16. So I mean, these are some pretty steep numbers, and a lot of investment. I mean, I hope that means there's more gold and gear and resources coming, if these are the expectations that they had to actually be able to successfully and consistently sim. The other thing I wanted to point out too, guys, is I'm not sure if you saw this little disclaimer note. Maybe it'll be updated in the blog post later on, but right here, their verbiage is that please note that for these teams, they're usually applicable for the simming for the newest raid teams. However, this does not include the new tech raid team. So I mean, does that mean there's a tech raid team coming that's in the works? If that's the case, this pretty much means that BIONIC Avengers just shouldn't be invested in any further. They could be a sunk cost at this point. If you guys are planning to bring them in, it could be a little detail in the standard that we might have to pay attention to. But that's also why I've kind of slowed down and halted my BIONIC Avengers investment, because maybe they're not the answer, and there's something else that they're putting in behind the scenes. I do believe it. I think tech nodes are absolutely brutal right now. They're basically made of a hybrid team that you need to utilize Kang or in some way, shape, or form other characters plus BIONIC Avengers, right? So it could mean the end of BIONIC Avengers, and that's a very short stint for a team that was actually dominating the Doom raids when it first came out. But for those of you watching that haven't invested in the team yet, it may be best to just park those resources until this new tech raid team comes. I hope maybe this was something that they were trying to give us a heads up on, but definitely a confirmation would be nice. Just something to be mindful, guys. Other than that, yeah, I'm glad they at least revised the skill rates to make it more feasible, though. Do let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I mean, it's always interesting to get these updates, but yeah, for sure, us as players, we want to invest and be smart, and obviously not sink a bunch of resources just to know that a newer and better team is already in the horizon, right? Do appreciate you guys sharing my videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.